Kaiser, News Center 6.
Monty's store is at 24th and Northeast Sandy.
And here's to your health, Monty. We'll be back at 6.
The battle over the budget. President Clinton promises another veto, but offers an apology to Speaker Gingrich over a perceived snub.
If it would get the government open, I'd be glad to tell him I'm sorry.
What will it take? We'll ask the Speaker substantive questions tonight live, one-on-one. And the killer of Yitzhak Rabin returns to the scene of the crime as Israeli police stage a dramatic reenactment.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Good evening. President Clinton spelled out his terms today in no uncertain terms for ending the budget showdown with congressional Republicans. The president wants a clean stopgap spending bill, no strings attached. For their part, Republicans were still pumping out a stopgap budget certain to draw another presidential veto, a bill containing what President Clinton calls, and I quote, critical cuts in Medicare and other programs. We will be speaking live with the Speaker of the House shortly. But first, Rita Braver begins our coverage.
With the budget stalemate still on, President Clinton today announced that starting Monday, he'll call back more than 50,000 workers to process critical claims for government services.
If the government shutdown continues to prevent action to accept applications for Medicare, Social Security, and veterans benefits made by seniors and veterans, this backlog would be so great that service to these citizens would not return to normal for months to come.
And even before receiving it, the president repeated his promise to veto a new Republican bill keeping the government temporarily afloat because it commits him to balancing the budget in 7 years. Mr. Clinton said he'll offer his own short-term bill that continues funding at the current level. Republicans won't go for that, but Speaker Gingrich said he might consider bills authorizing interim pay for the workers the president is recalling.
That would allow those employees to be paid as well as doing their work. We think that's the right thing to do.
But Mr. Clinton's plan to keep critical services going could backfire because Republicans also indicated it shows how many workers are not essential.
They're going to make our case that we don't need about 4 or 5 of these departments, and certainly this will be strong evidence in the next hearing.
There's also strong evidence relations between the White House and Republican leaders are at an all-time low. Senator Dole even suggested a deal might be struck between Republicans and Democrats in Congress, leaving the president out of it. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
And part of the reason for that, apparently, is a widely circulated comment attributed to House Speaker Newt Gingrich indicating he felt President Clinton had treated him discourteously recently. Congress was in a partisan political uproar over that today, with the Democrats especially in full cry. On Capitol Hill, Bob Schieffer has that part of the story. Bob?
Well, Dan, just when you thought the level of this debate couldn't get any lower, it got lower. When Speaker Gingrich said one reason that he's taking a hard line on the budget is because the president snubbed him on the plane ride home from Yitzhak Rabin's funeral, Democrats had a field day.
After Gingrich's outburst, the New York Daily News made him a cover boy in a diaper. For Democrats, it was like Christmas in November.
There is absolutely no question that Newt Gingrich has now absolutely sewn up the category of best performance by a child actor this year.
And oh, how the Democrats loved it.
Mr. Speaker, please quit whining.
All this started when Gingrich told some reporters the president not only wouldn't talk about the budget on the plane, he made congressional leaders exit through the plane's back door.
It hadn't occurred to them that maybe Bob Dole deserved the dignity of walking down the front ramp. And forget me, I'm only the Speaker of the House.
As if to rub it in, the White House released photos showing the president chatting up someone on the flight who at least looked like Gingrich. So as Democrats crowed,
crybaby, Newt's tantrum,
Republicans were aghast.
Is it parliamentary to call the Speaker of the House a crybaby?
No, said the parliamentarian, setting off another fracas.
I understand then that I am not to refer to the Speaker as a crybaby. May I use the term Newt's tantrum?
Finally, the president said enough.
Together. I can tell you this, if it would get the government open, I'd be glad to tell him I'm sorry.
One of Gingrich's Republican colleagues also suggested he might want to get some rest. Good advice for all, Dan.
Bob Schieffer. Joining us now from his office on Capitol Hill, House Speaker Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, thank you for being with us tonight. I know it's been a tough day, and all the more reason to say thank you for doing this. I have some substantive questions, but I do want to give you a chance to say what, if anything, you want to about these charges and countercharges about the discourtesy.
Well, Dan, first of all, it wasn't a question of discourtesy. We've been saying since last fall when we campaigned in 1994 that we were going to balance the federal budget. That's what the contract with America promised. 7 years was in our balanced budget amendment last fall. We said beginning in April that we were going to eventually end up in a real problem unless the president worked with us to balance the budget. Senator Dole and I, beginning weeks ago, began making phone calls to the White House, trying to get them in negotiations. You may remember that Senator Dole took a portable telephone on the Brinkley show to make the point that we couldn't find a way to communicate. I think there have been a lot of missed opportunities. I thought the plane ride, 25 hours in an airplane, was a missed opportunity. That's the only point I'm making. And I think it's sad that the Democrats who are making all those wild charges and having all that fun don't want to work to balance the budget. None of those folks you just showed voted for a balanced budget last night. None of them voted to keep the government open. They're having partisan fun. But the fact is, there are hundreds of thousands of federal employees who ought to be back on the job, and there's a budget that ought to be balanced for our children. And those are serious, real issues that I think we ought to be addressing, not this kind of partisan nonsense.
Would it help any if the president apologized?
No, it's irrelevant. It's not a question of apology. The question is, would the president be willing tonight to sit down, roll up his sleeves, and work with Bob Dole and me to get to a balanced budget in 7 years? Is the president willing tonight to get the federal employees back to work by signing our continuing resolution that gets everybody back to work? 48 Democrats last night in the House voted for our continuing resolution to put government employees back to work. We don't need smart aleck comments. We don't need, surface kind of superficiality. These are two serious problems: getting federal employees back to work and getting a balanced budget for our children and our grandchildren. We're doing serious work. Senator Dole and I have been trying for months to sit down with this president to get something done, and we frankly don't know how to get his attention beyond press conferences and, frankly, political campaign gimmicks.
Last night, President Clinton said, in effect, that there's a lot at stake here. From your viewpoint, I'll give you a chance to say, what is the gut issue? What is really at stake here?
The core issue is that for 60 years, we have been borrowing our children's money. We now owe $5 trillion in debt. The president's plan has us with $209 billion in debt in the 7th year, still running a huge deficit every year. What's at stake is our children's future, whether they get lower interest rates and lower taxes, more take-home pay, better jobs, and a smaller government. This is the most important crossroads we've been at in this country domestically since 1933. It's not trivial. It is vital to our children's future to balance this federal budget and get the burden of our generation's debt off their backs. That's what this is all about.
Now, you've heard the president say, and he said it repeatedly, that what he wants, indeed what he has to have, is a, quote, clean budget bill that would get the government working again, that does not include anything about a balanced budget. Are you prepared to do that?
No. The fact is the Constitution gives the Congress, the people's representatives, the power to say, we're not going to give you another blank check to run up even more debt, to keep an even bigger bureaucracy, to dump on our children and grandchildren even more interest payments and even higher taxes. That's the power of the Constitution. And we're saying to the president, we will give you the money if you will agree to sit at a table and work on balancing the budget in the next 7 years. And the president's saying that he is so determined not to balance the budget, he is so against what we're trying to do, that he would rather close down the government than have a requirement to balance the federal budget. I think that's an extraordinary comment in a country where 83% of the American people want us to balance the federal budget.
Mr. Speaker, has this disagreement become so personal, so really personal, that it's going to be a long time, if ever, that this can get settled?
No, I don't think this is personal. I mean, the President of the United States has a position. Senator Dole and I have a position. We believe the American people want the budget to be balanced. We represent the congressional branch. The congressional branch originates all taxes and all spending. We're doing our job. I mean, I'm not offended by the president. I want to know under what circumstances he's willing to sit down, roll up his sleeves, and let's have a serious adult conversation about how we get to a balanced budget. When he's ready to do that, we're going to give him the money. But we're not going to give him the money on behalf of our children and our grandchildren if he's determined to spend $200 billion a year in deficit, and if he insists on keeping a budget plan which is $875 billion more over the next 7 years. And frankly, when you see a department where 99% of the federal employees were sent home because they're not essential, Senator Dole had a good question. If 99% of the federal employees in a department aren't essential, maybe we could eliminate that department, consolidate the bureaucracy, cut out some of the waste, and save our children and grandchildren a heck of a lot of money.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Dan.
Coming up next, the nationwide impact of the budget bust. How do you close the Grand Canyon and Eye on America? Tonight, Americans preparing to keep the peace in Bosnia.
Fibercon or Metamucil? Both give you the same predictable regularity, the same natural action of fiber. So what makes Fibercon different? With Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets. Fibercon, fiber regularity that's easier to take.
The newest Black & Decker Dustbuster. With twice the power as before, it'll pick up more than you think. The Dustbuster. More power, more pickups.
Thanks to Sprint Business, there's a company who does more business in skis.
Sprint gave us an edge.
Sprint worked with Volant and brought them real solutions to help them get ahead so they can check orders online from anywhere and promote new products through video conferencing. Now they do business a whole new way.
And sales are really soaring.
We'll help your business do more business. Call Sprint Business.
Day 3 of the partial government shutdown for lack of funds. The latest casualty, the 1 mile deep, millions of years in the making Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon National Park is now officially closed to the public for the first time since it was established in 1919. Thousands of other Americans needing federal help found themselves in a deep hole today, a lot closer to home, as Linda Douglas reports.
The shutdown has pushed the Veterans Administration to the brink of a crisis. Tens of thousands of new claims are piling up daily. Veterans of war now caught in political crossfire.
We are talking about human beings here. 2.5 million of them are service-connected. About 700,000 are poor. We have another 700,000 that are widows.
Though some VA and Social Security workers will return next week, the backlog of cases will be tremendous. And in the rest of the government, problems are worsening. Imported Christmas toys, which could be unsafe, are not being examined by safety inspectors.
They can't stop them from going to the store shelves, and they can't stop them from being sold to children who could be injured or even die.
Each day of this government shutdown, 10,000 new Medicare claims aren't processed, 2,500 FHA loans await government action, 20,000 deadbeat dads aren't pursued, and the Justice Department loses millions of dollars in uncollected fines. More than half of the government is working, workers whose bosses have labeled them essential. But who's essential may be in the eye of the beholder. Among those on the job, the Office of Commemorative Coins at the Denver Mint, and most of the staffers who serve members of Congress. Among those not deemed essential, the advance team planning a foreign trip for the president later this month. Though they'll likely be paid eventually, those on the job now are getting no compensation. The union has asked a judge to let all employees go home unless they're paid immediately. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Washington.
It's a great time to be silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
Maxwell House introduces new Irish cream cappuccino in 4 easy steps. Delicious. New Irish cream cappuccino, only from Maxwell House.
When was the last time you played in the rain? Let your hair go wild. Flexed your muscles to the world. Stayed up past your bedtime. When was the last time you really had fun in a car? Riviera by Buick. Go ahead. Express yourself.
Finally, great popcorn from your microwave.
Power Pop.
Presto Power Pop Microwave Multi-Popper. Exclusive power-based concentrates microwaves to pop virtually every kernel. Pop with oil for a buttery flavor.
Power Pop.
Pop without oil for a healthier, low-fat snack. A third cup of popcorn, 3 quarts of crunch. Other microwave poppers can't measure up. See? Dishwasher safe, too. Nothing pops like Power Pop. That's why it's endorsed by Orville Redenbacher.
Power Pop puts power in the pop.
From Presto.
Ben Lacey's 73, makes apple cider, and sure doesn't look like a criminal.
Well, I don't feel like one either.
But Ben faces 24 years in jail. Why?
It's just simply human error. They're just mistakes, that's all it is.
Wait till you see why the apple cider man got squeezed by the feds. His story tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
Israeli police are detaining 7 people, including a woman, in connection with the murder of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. Today, at the scene of the crime, the admitted assassin stunned onlookers again as he demonstrated how he killed Rabin. CBS News correspondent Bob Simon was there.
Killers always return to the scene of the crime, they say. Yigal Amir did that early this morning, driven not by an inner compulsion, but by Israeli police who wanted him to walk and talk them through the murder. He was let in on an iron leash and was wearing the kind of bulletproof vest which could have saved the Prime Minister's life. He cast a cursory glance at the candlelit shrine marking the spot where Rabin fell. He paid no attention to the angry shouts of passers-by. No attention, no defiance, no emotion of any kind. Intelligence officers interrogating the killer tell CBS News he is calm, logical, and sane. They say he's so smart that under other circumstances, they would have considered recruiting him. He knows exactly why he did what he did, knows he'll spend the rest of his life behind bars, and doesn't express a single regret. He was given back the same Beretta he used that night. The cop in the red shirt played Rabin, others played the Prime Minister's guards. Amir walked towards the car, his pace cool and quick. He pulled the gun and shocked the crowd by showing just how close he'd come to the back of Yitzhak Rabin. The mock shots sent a chill through the cameraman recording the scene for CBS News.
He's acting like a machine. No feelings whatsoever. It was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Amir is no alienated outsider in the American tradition of political assassins. He studied at one of Israel's finest religious academies, a breeding ground not for killers, but for nice Jewish boys. Not terror, Torah. He served in a crack army unit and then enrolled in a top law school where he also spent hours every day studying Jewish law and ethics. And there he was this morning, oblivious to the curses and cries of the chorus in the dark parking lot where he made the foundations of the Jewish state tremble. Bob Simon, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
And still ahead on the CBS Evening News, much of America was built on their sweat and steel. Tonight, the end of an era.
Nobody does it like you.
The new Hoover Steam Vac Deluxe with 5-brush agitator. Compared to professionals, there's no comparison.
Nobody does it like you.
This is big. It's Red Lobster's Lobster Fest. Enormous rocktails, irresistible maintails. There's just one word for a fest this big. Huge.
Lobsters everywhere.
Lobster Fest.
Hurry to Red Lobster tonight.
That was your first date with Jimmy. You remember that?
All right, boys.
Mrs. Smith's pies, the taste that takes you home. And make Mrs. Smith's pies even better with Cool Whip whipped topping.
Will that be a window or aisle?
Sir, window.
Aisle seat.
Well, at least you know where to sit when you get home. The Accord Coupe from Honda, possibly the world's easiest decision.
Subtle traces of crimson on your toothbrush and in your sink. Bleeding gums.
If you've ever suffered this unpleasant experience, beware. You may be one of over 80 million people afflicted with the gum disease, gingivitis. Gum disease is caused by germs. Listerine kills them. It's the only brand clinically proven to help prevent the gum disease, gingivitis. Don't say your gums didn't warn you. Listerine, the power of prevention.
An urgent new warning.
By raising a fat kid, you are going to produce a premature death.
What you need to know about weight on 48 Hours tonight.
Secretary of State Christopher will go back to Ohio this weekend, hoping to win a peace agreement on Bosnia. If he succeeds, 20,000 U.S. troops are committed to go in to guarantee the peace. Correspondent David Martin reports on those troops and their uncertain mission in tonight's Eye on America.
The soldiers of the 1st Armored Division live in a different world than the rest of us.
Enemy front!
They train to turn the night landscape into a killing field, blasting away anything that gets in their way. Not like the rest of us, except when it comes to wondering and worrying about Bosnia.
It's an age-old conflict that we know very little about. They've been arguing and fighting for a long time. It's not for us to judge who's the good guy or the bad guy at all.
But Gunner Trent Gamblin does know one thing. If President Clinton sends American troops to enforce the peace agreement now under negotiation, the boys of Bravo Troop will end up right in the middle of Bosnia's ethnic hatred.
My biggest worry is that our government will take half measures and be undecisive and leave us standing in the middle.
It's happened before when troops were sent into a country whose hatreds the U.S. government only dimly comprehended. Lebanon in 1983, Somalia in 1993. Each time, the result was dead American soldiers. The American Army, with all its firepower, can separate the warring sides. But that firepower cannot erase the legacy of ethnic cleansing. And the soldiers know it.
Because they hate each other, and it's been like that for so long.
The Army plans not to shoot its way into Bosnia, but simply to build its way in, throwing up bridges instead of artillery barrages. The weapons it would bring are deadly. The intentions are not.
You got all them little innocent little kids, all them women, you know, old women, old people that didn't have nothing to eat, you know? And see, they got smiles on their faces, you know? They can start a normal life again.
Everyone hopes it will turn out that way, no one more so than the families these soldiers will leave behind. But like most Americans, they have more questions about Bosnia than answers.
I would like to know exactly what they're getting into, and I'm concerned that it is very dangerous for them.
Okay, here we go.
These families would also like to know what it's going to do to their lives. Sandra Kamena's husband just got back from a peacekeeping mission in Macedonia, and now he has to get ready for Bosnia.
For myself, you know, I can deal with it. I'm a little concerned about my little boy, how he's going to take Daddy being gone again.
Soldiers are getting their shots.
Will you sign this document freely and voluntarily?
And updating their wills.
Please sign your name on the long line on the lower left as it appears at the top.
But nowhere in all the paperwork does it say how long they'll be gone this time. Defense Secretary Perry has said just a year. But the boys in Bravo Troop aren't so sure.
I pretty much expect for us to go there and end up eventually having to keep a force there indefinitely.
My worry would be, you know, if it would break out into like a big war, kind of like Vietnam, where be there for a long time and be fighting instead of peacekeeping.
The road into Bosnia will be paved with steel bridges and good intentions. But who can tell these soldiers how the road out of Bosnia will look? In Grafenwehr, Germany, this is David Martin for Eye on America.
Up on the high frontier, astronauts and cosmonauts on the now joined U.S.-Russian mission in space got down to business today. First, though, they exchanged gifts, including a collapsible guitar suitable for tight spaces and a takeout steak dinner from NASA.
Ever compare the ingredients in Pepperidge Farm beef and Heinz brown gravies? Well, Heinz would rather you didn't, because theirs starts with water and cornstarch. Pepperidge Farm starts with beef stock and beef. It's made like homemade to taste like homemade.
The newest Black & Decker Dustbuster. With twice the power as before, it'll pick up more than you think. The Dustbuster. More power, more pickups.
Oh, cornflakes for breakfast, huh?
Yeah, she's into nutrition.
Oh, yeah. Perhaps you should eat Total. It has 100% of 11 of the many vitamins and minerals you need. To get that from cornflakes, you both have to add more than just milk.
Yeah, such as?
Well, raspberries for vitamin C.
Oh, okay.
Catfish for B6.
What?
Beets for folic acid.
Beets?
And some crawdads for nice.
Huh?
So, cornflakes or...
No
Wait,
way. Total.
Make Total part of a balanced diet. One bowl, 100%. Hey, had enough?
Hey.
Lasagna, sausage, and a spicy meatball.
But you know I can't eat this. I'll be up all night with heartburn.
Your appetizer.
New Pepsid AC acid controller.
This one little pill can stop heartburn before it starts. Just take this one now before dinner. It'll prevent heartburn all night long.
Bless you.
Pepsid, now available without a prescription.
I think it needs a little more spice.
You can be heartburn-free with new Pepsid AC, the strongest, longest acid controller.
The Houston Oilers professional football team signed a deal today to move to Nashville by 1998. For another team, the game is over. Hundreds of Bethlehem steel workers in Pennsylvania are about to lose their jobs. Saturday, the company's flagship plant will stop pouring steel. Richard Threlkeld reports on the men of steel and their legacy.
They fired up the blast furnaces at the Bethlehem steel plant this week for the last time. The mill workers call this making metal, and they've been making metal this way here in the valley for almost 150 years. No more.
This part of the mill and its equipment, some of it almost a century old, are victims of modern times. They make steel nowadays in much smaller mills with a lot fewer mill workers. Bethlehem Steel's going to go on making lots of steel. They just won't make it right here anymore.
Morning, Jess, Darren, Jack.
Which means that Ed Stetch and the other fellows on the early shift won't be starting the day at 5 a.m. at Ginny's Diner anymore.
It just sort of wrenches at you a little bit. It tugs at your heartstrings because these are guys you've known for years.
Ed's one of 1,800 mill workers who'll lose their jobs. He's the son and grandson of mill workers here, and in 31 years, he's seen a lot of friends come and go with the ups and downs of Bethlehem Steel.
I remember their names. I see them walking here just as it was yesterday.
At least they've all got some things to show for their work. The steel in the Golden Gate Bridge, and the George Washington Bridge, and the U.S. Supreme Court, and buildings all over the country. That steel came from here.
I am part of that. My father was part of that, my grandfather. We were all part of what was that great American dream, you know, skyscrapers, bridges.
Ed Stetch also has a pretty good pension as pensions go, so he's got tomorrow at least figured out.
It would be nice just to wake up in the morning and make breakfast for my boys and my little girl.
They're talking about making some of all this into a museum or a monument, but it looks like Ed Stetch and the others have enough monuments already. Richard Threlkeld, CBS News, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
The men of steel. Later tonight on 48 Hours, with 1 out of 5 American children overweight, we'll show you how some of them are winning the battle. 48 Hours, Generation Extra Large, tonight at 10, 9 Central. Dan Rather reporting. I'll see you again soon on 48 Hours.